Hello and welcome back to Winners and Losers Transfer Edition. Chris and Joe are off, so in their place is myself and Patrick Van Straten. How are you, mate?
We're better than them.
We are better. We'll step up. This is going to be a bumper episode. And we're kicking off this week with West Ham, which seems like the only logical place to start after they've had quite a week. And this comes in from @JokerOliver on Twitter.
Yeah, they've kicked off their summer business in style with the £24 million capture of Villarreal's Pablo Fornals. Now, we've talked him up a lot, but the 23-year-old actually isn't the club's first signing of the summer. They've already picked up two goalkeepers, Roberto and David Martin, and he's actually the second biggest signing in the club's history after Felipe Anderson. Now, his career to date has sort of been intertwined with that of West Ham boss Manuel Pellegrini. He was in the youth teams at Villarreal and Malaga while the Chilean managed both sides. So obviously they know each other a little bit, and this feels like perhaps a move based on the fact that they can no longer trust Lanzini's health.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit that way to me, but it's a really exciting attack. Even though Fornals is coming off a poor season for Villarreal, he had 5 goals and 6 assists in all competitions, but it was a down year for Villarreal overall. And when you look at the previous season, the 17-18 campaign for Fornals, 12 assists in La Liga, the most in the division, level with Messi and Suarez. He's also a decent defensive contributor, 2.4 tackles and interceptions a game, 1.4 shots, 1.4 key passes, which over the previous 4 years, that's an average, okay? So that takes him up from kind of 18, 19 to now. So as a result, you know, that's probably bringing it down a little bit when he first broke into the side. So you kind of assume now that their midfield three will maybe start with Lanzini and Fornals and Rice behind them, and I guess they'll kind of figure out their balance over the course of the season. I still feel like there are defensive issues in that midfield.
Yeah. And you wouldn't back against Martin Noble coming in at certain stages in that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I mean, you get a lot of defensive work out of Anderson, so that's really good. But it's just another option, and it means that West Ham pretty much have firepower to match anyone outside the top 6 now. I think that with an attack being run by Fornals and Felipe Anderson, you can pretty much go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league.
100%, and it's really exciting because they've been linked with another striker this week in Maxi Gomez, who they've been linked with last summer as well. Supposedly they're back in the race for him. He's obviously playing for Celta Vigo at the moment. They've had a £29 million bid accepted.
Accepted?
Well, yeah.
Because I thought, because he has like a 42 mil buyout or something like that, and there were rumours they were only going to accept it. But 29 mil for a 22-year-old who's, got double figures the last 2 seasons?
100%. And it's a pretty attractive offer for Celta Vigo, obviously.
Yeah,
they had a massive downturn last year. Iago Aspas and Maxi Gomez had to really come to the fore at the back end of the season to avoid relegation. But supposedly there is competition from Valencia for the Uruguayan. He got 13 goals and 5 assists in a disappointing Celta Vigo campaign. And not just that, they've also lodged a £10 million bid for 21-year-old Lorient sensation Alexis Claude Maurice, who we've been talking about in the office quite a lot in the last week or so, because Arsenal are supposedly interested in him as well. He scored 17 in 55 games in Ligue 2 for the club. Add to that, £13 million bid for Eibar's 24-year-old defensive midfielder Joan Jordan, who is one of Hamel's pet favourites. And it seems like the Hammers are really investing in Pellegrini's vision for the club, with Mario Josias, I think is the name behind the scenes, the new director of football, who seems to be transforming West Ham from sort of picking up the scraps of the Premier League into making these really exciting forward-thinking signings, mainly from Spain. Although slight downturn for Hammers fans, Man United are supposedly coming in for Issa Diop. However, Solskjaer and co will have to offer at least £45 million, and there's also talk of including a player in that deal who's expected to be Phil Jones. So they don't want to lose Issa Diop. But some really exciting, forward-thinking, attacking signings. Pat, do you think if they get Fornals and Maxi Gomez over the ground, through even, do you think that they could be competing for 6th, 7th next year?
Potentially. I think they probably still need some defensive reinforcements. Like, Issa Diop is very good, and Balbuena's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, he was solid last year.
But I still think that relying on Declan Rice to be your defensive midfielder for the whole year is a lot to ask of a player that young who is still developing. So if I were them, I'd be looking at getting Joan Jordan, I suppose, will help. So I don't know, maybe another defender, and then I think they can pretty much stack up against Wolves quite nicely.
100%. It's a really exciting time to be a Hammers fans. Hammers fans, let us know in the comments below. Are you losing your heads over this? Who else do you want to see come in? Let us know down below.
Just before we move on to our first loser of the week, a quick reminder that you should be subscribed to the channel if you want more great content from us, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a quality episode.
Always quality.
Though with Hamill and Joe coming back, it is less of an issue if you miss them. Anyway, moving on to our losers, we start with Man United. This comes from @MessyLingard3. State of that name. Get off Twitter.
Yeah, 100%. Take a break, mate. Man United featured pretty much every week in our losers section in the regular season, and now,
trash.
As the transfers are kicked off, they are still in it.
Garbage.
Why? Because their best outfield player, and arguably only truly world-class outfield player, Paul Pogba, has publicly admitted that he might be looking for a new challenge. But don't just hear it from us. Let's hear from the man himself.
With my season, it was my best season as well. I think for me, it can be a good time to have a new challenge somewhere else. I'm thinking of this, to have a new challenge somewhere else. Yeah.
So there are quite big words there, pretty clear about his intentions. But this isn't driving down United's huge asking price of £160 million, according to the Telegraph, either. Real Madrid have been consistently linked with him, as are Juventus, with David Amoyal, one of Di Marzio's staff, claiming that he is very open to the idea of moving back to Turin, but it's up to the club to agree a deal with United. Now, obviously, Paul Pogba would be a huge loss for United. No player has been involved in more goals since his return to Old Trafford. That's 31 goals and 29 assists. And it's not just his end product that's sort of separating him from the rest of the pack either. He provides 1.6 key passes, 1.7 dribbles, 3 shots per game, the highest at the club in all 3 categories. And I also think he's top for defensive actions and tackles and passes into the final third out of midfield players as well. So it'd be a massive, massive loss. Pato, is there any sort of redeeming feature in this, or?
I don't know, man. I mean, like they've already. I'd say that if Pogba goes, they've lost their 2 best performing midfielders from last season in Herrera and Pogba. Herrera was actually really good defensively last year, and I think United fans just underestimate how much ball progression Pogba does, how much creative stuff he does. Like, yes, he scored a lot of penalties, but he also created a lot of goals, and it just seems like United fans are in for a rude awakening if they think that they can lose Pogba without really taking a downturn. And I saw somebody on Twitter say, well, if Pogba goes and we get in 2 defensive midfielders and a quality number 10, then we'll probably have improved overall. And it's like, yes, if you buy 3 players to replace 1 player, you probably should improve a bit. But I mean, it's just a step back for them. I mean, the good thing, I suppose, is that with his contract, they can demand so much that it might just put off everybody around them. Though, on the other hand, next summer might not be any picnic either, because, of course, David De Gea's contract runs out. But anyway, top-tier source Simon Stone works for the BBC, I think. He said that the club believe he will be there at the start of the season.
Right, okay.
So we will see, how this develops. If it doesn't happen this summer, maybe they're talking about it again in January. They've obviously got Daniel James in on the wing. They're linked to Sean Longstaff of Newcastle. That's from numerous sources. And now they're looking at Issa Diop, as we mentioned above. So it seems like they're not necessarily shopping in the superstar market this summer, unless they're keeping their powder dry for, say, a really big centre-back acquisition. But it doesn't really help that Pogba's kind of best friend at the club, Romelu Lukaku, is also in the middle of his own transfer saga.
Yeah, true.
He scored more goals than any United player since his arrival, but of course recently said that Conte is the best manager in the world, though of course he once said that about Mourinho as well, and that he'd love to play in Italy. Now, I suppose he did become less important to United this season. Obviously, Rashford has taken over as the main man, and 3 other players scored over 10 league goals for United last campaign, which is actually the first time since 95-96 that's happened. But I think at 80 million euros, they're unlikely to get Inter to really pay up for him. I think they're going to have to drop it a bit if they want to.
Icardi, I suppose. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen either, though. I haven't really heard that much talk about a Icardi movie.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it feels like United are maybe hoping that if Juve want Pogba, they'll offer Dybala, or if Inter want Lukaku, they'll offer Icardi, or maybe they're just hoping somebody will chip in with a player, or Skriniar. Maybe they're hoping somebody will chip in with a player they actually want. But it's hard to envision them losing their 2 most expensive signings in the same window. But what do you guys think? What are United going to look like when the season starts? Because at this rate, I've literally no idea.
No. Second winner of the week is Maurizio Sarri, and this comes in from Shadek Martin. Cheers, Martin, regular contributor. Why is Sarri in our winners pack?
Well, his move to Juventus was finally confirmed on Sunday, and that brings to an end a difficult week for the Blues. Obviously, transfer ban was upheld. Eden Hazard finally was unveiled at the Bernabeu, and now Sarri joins Juve on a 3-year deal, having signed for the same amount of time with the Blues last summer. But on the plus side, Chelsea have got $5 million in compensation. Not that that particularly matters. Anyway, Sarri becomes the 9th full-time manager to leave Stamford Bridge during Abramovich's 16-year reign in West London. And he ends his Blues career with a very healthy 62% win percentage, which is only bettered by Conte and Mourinho in that period. Nice. So he acquitted himself pretty well. Obviously, I saw an article on the BBC website that was like, oh, Chelsea fans don't care at all that Sarri is leaving. But I think they will start to care at a certain point. And Sarri, I'm kind of glad for him that he's managed to get out. I don't think he's been appreciated all season. Obviously, had incidents like the one with Kepa in the Cup. And generally speaking, the fans have laughed at his transfers. They haven't been happy with the style of football. Anyway, he said that he wants to live nearer his family, which is also understandable. His parents are getting on a bit. On the other hand, it's difficult to see whether he's really the right man for Juve. They're in the middle of a rebuild, or will be very, very soon. They've obviously been playing a pretty defensive style for a long time. And some Serie A experts, including Mina Azuki, have suggested he's not quite the right man for the club. Because you imagine, he's basically going to have to try and do the same job with Juve that he was trying to do with Chelsea last year. Turn them from an extremely defensive outfit, which actually was built around 3 at the back, which made it extra difficult, into, you know, a fluid attacking side.
I think there just seems like there was a lack of options available for Juve in a way. I think Diego Simeone in many ways would have made more sense than Sarri. In terms of fitting maybe the philosophy of the club.
Or Jardim or something.
Maybe,
But I mean, or if you were going to go in this direction, like try and go in the more like attacking fluid direction, there are stepping stone managers you could take.
That's true, they've gone very much the other way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, when I look at the squad, I actually can see it mapping on quite well. Like the fullbacks are great, the central defenders are really good. You can see Pjanic playing the Jorginho role. Maybe Ramsey playing the Hamsik position, and if they keep Dybala, he'd be a great Insigne playing off the other side. So you can see how it would work, but it's going to be a tough act to follow because Allegri had a 70% win percentage during his time in charge in Turin and won 11 trophies in 5 years. So by the end of Sarri, who was so excited about holding that Europa League medal this summer, by the end of a couple of years at Juve, he'll be so blasé about medals.
100%, he'll be well stocked, he'll be weighed down by them. But Chelsea, from their perspective, it's not actually going that well, supposedly, in their pursuit of Frank Lampard as Sarri's replacement, with Derby in talks about extending the 40-year-old's contract. And we've talked many times about how it might just be, he might be the right man, but it's too early for him. He's only had 1 year in senior management, and the Blues would have to pay £4 million in compensation for the former midfielder's services. But having got that compensation for Sarri, you don't imagine that would be a stumbling block. But multiple reports are suggesting that the deal is perhaps inevitable, with Abramovich apparently calling Lampard to give him assurances that he would get at least 2 years to turn the team's fortunes around, which is vital actually, because with this transfer ban, with losing Hazard, they are in for a huge downturn season. So if he's under the impression that he has to keep in the top 4, I don't think that's going to happen quite. But in terms of would it be a wise appointment, it's kind of difficult to see really. Lampard's first season at Derby was slightly underwhelming, but they did finish with a point less than in 17-18, and no player scored more than 12 league goals, which is the first time that's happened since 2013. And while Lampard's side sort of pressed well and they averaged 54% possession, that didn't really translate to effective sort of chance creation, as they ranked highest for long-range shots in the Championship. For comparison, Chelsea ranked second for shots in the box last term, even above Liverpool, which is slightly surprising. In short, the Chelsea fans who didn't enjoy Sarri ball may have to temper their expectations even further if their hero is appointed as manager and take a bit of a reality check. But do you guys think Lampard will be a success at Stamford Bridge? Let us know in the poll above. First poll of the show.
Second and final losers of the week are PSG. This comes from @EvaSev2. PSG, what's going on with them? I actually don't know.
Well, it's a bit of turmoil, really, because over the past weekend, we've seen PSG President Nasser Al-Khalifi, sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, say Players will have to assume their responsibilities even more than before. If they do not agree, the doors are open. Ciao. I do not want any celebrity behaviour anymore, which you can imagine is directed at a certain Brazilian forward. This has seen numerous papers and websites linking Neymar and Mbappe with the exit door. I don't think it'll probably be Mbappe, but it could well be Neymar. Apparently, they're willing to open to offers for Neymar, but they're hoping to collect back the 222 million euros that they paid 2 years ago now. But I think that's pretty unlikely. I think the only logical move would be back to Barcelona, really, because I don't see Real Madrid going for him.
I don't know, that could be kind of fun.
In Hazard.
Wasn't there the rumour about like Dembele going the other way? Dembele plus cash for Neymar.
I'm kind of up for that.
Yeah,
I'm up for him going to Barcelona. I can't see him going to Real Madrid, realistically.
No, I don't think so either.
Do you think
Especially not with
Barcelona
Hazard
have got
there.
this sort of money? I'm not quite sure.
I don't know, but if they could say knock it, well, it looks like Griezmann's coming in, right? But if you're going to spend, say, 100 to 125 mil on Griezmann, would you not add Dembele to it and offer that for Neymar?
Yeah,
I think I probably would. Neymar's younger and better.
100%. But there's still quite a few issues with him. I mean, obviously not just the price, but he's had numerous injuries. He's now had 3 long-term injuries in the space of just 2 years.
Always during the Rio Carnival, his injuries.
Yes, exactly. Around the sister's birthday as well. And he managed just 16 starts in Ligue 1 last year, contributing to 22 goals last season. And the CIS currently value him at 134 million.
Yeah,
euros,
but I mean,
probably because of those injuries. But they're going to get at least 200.
The CIS, as usual.
While his talent is clear, none of the 3 teams in the world who can afford his transfer fee will probably pay it due to his injury record and celebrity-like status. He has acted like a bit of a bitch over the last year.
Man United could afford it, but he's just not going to go there,
I don't think he's going to. I put on Twitter yesterday, it was just me being a fanboy, but if he went to Liverpool, I think that'd be really exciting. Imagine playing it as a 10 behind
What are you talking about, dude?
Salah,
it's so
Mane.
mental.
I love 4-2-3-1 with Neymar in the hole. Oh, peachy. But Klopp, get it done.
I'm just not gonna say anything. What about Pogba plus cash for Neymar?
Do you think Pogba would go to Paris Saint-Germain?
Probably, yeah. Like,
Fair.
would Pogba go
I
to
think
Paris?
I reckon. His dream seems like to play under Zidane, though. I can't really see him, but even the talk.
Why is everyone's dream to play under Zidane?
I'm not quite
he's
sure.
Not a great coach.
Manager.
It's fine. Then again, like when you consider that your options are now like, if you're going to play under one club legend, it might as well be Zidane rather than like Solskjaer.
Yeah, true.
By the way, how
He's
we
not
ended
even a
up
club
in
legend.
Yeah, I know, right? How we ended up in this world where they're like Solskjaer, what a club legend. It's like I remember the 98-99 season, and Solskjaer was their 4th choice striker,
100%.
behind like a 33-year-old Teddy Sheringham.
Pops up with some crucial goals. He basically just lingered enough at the club that he assumed legend status.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Wes Brown's coming in, club legend.
He was still there in like 2006, 2007. It was longevity that gives him this legend status.
Yeah, like coming soon to the Arsenal dugout, Pascal Sigon. He's just going to play an attacking brand of football.
Though.
Jesus. I don't know. I mean, PSG, it just feels like kind of they get bored of the toys they have every now and then. And they're like, we just need to... Like, PSG are like, you know, every few months you realise that you remember you can change the background on your phone.
Yeah.
And then you just do it and you're like, it's like a whole new phone. PSG do that, but with all their players and everyone behind the scenes. So they've also sacked sporting director Antero Henrique, who Mbappe was apparently close to at the club. Like, that sounds like paper talk to me. But anyway, he was part of the reason that Mbappe ended up there. He kind of orchestrated that move from Monaco. And his replacement is Leonardo, who was there previously.
Yeah, he's done that job before, hasn't he?
He's gone back and forth between PSG and Milan quite a bit. And apparently he's provoked a certain level of mistrust in the Mbappe camp, which sounds like, I would like to leave. This is I need an excuse. And now, like, a man has lost his job because Mbappe's had a
for having these feelings. Mbappe, he's been quite sassy.
I don't know.
When he at that awards ceremony, he was like, "Oh, I might just head off." I was just like, "What? You really just got there?"
But he is the second best player in the world.
Yeah, true.
Like, I mean, he is the second best player in the world. I think pretty clearly.
Yeah, actually, why was you talking about Real Madrid going for Neymar? Why don't they just go for Mbappe next?
And do you not remember Ronaldo when he was this age? He was an absolute turbo
he's
cock.
always been a bit of a
Like, so I
petulant
just
prick,
think if you're good enough, like, you can be a dick. Like, that's basically that's my attitude to working at FD as well. Anyway, he said, obviously, yeah, I've come to a turning point or whatever. At the age of 20, he's just like, oh, this chapter's closing. It's like, it's not a chapter. Yeah. It's like an introduction, if anything. But anyway, he could be offered the captaincy at PSG at some point to try and keep him there. Obviously, he could go and play for Real Madrid in theory. I'm pretty sure every club in the world would want him. And Zidane is publicly an admirer. So it does feel like at some point in his career, he's going to end up at the Bernabeu. It just remains to be seen where. Liverpool fans got excited because there was a picture of him in a Liverpool shirt on YouTube.
Liverpool fans.
But it was photoshopped, obviously,
Right, okay.
by some dweeb. Valued at 250 million euros plus, which means that probably... Well, I've got written here only a handful of clubs could afford him, but I actually think that pretty much no club can afford him at that price. Man City are already having struggles with FFP. Barcelona are spending all their money and are building a stadium. Real Madrid have already spent so much money.
As we said on Contenter Club, they've got 37 players. If they shift off 10 of them, no problem.
That is quite a lot of players
That is
to
a
shift.
lot of players to shift.
But yeah, I suppose.
If you get rid of Isco and James Rodriguez, it's probably another 100 million you need on Mbappe.
Yeah, but then you've bought a centre forward in Jovic, who's gonna want to play as centre forward. You've bought a left winger in Hazard, so you play him off the right.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Realistically, I don't see either of these two moving. If I'm being totally honest.
This feels like the really upper level version of like the kind of Wilfried Zaha at Crystal Palace thing. Like you go to you're at a club, you sign a nice big contract, and you're really pleased at the time because you're like, I'm getting paid now. Like, and it must be tempting when you're a player. When they're like, well, this is how much you're earning this week. Next week you could be earning like 350k, or in Zaha's case, like 100k. You're like, oh yeah, well I do want that money now.
You want to extract it at the moment.
But on the other hand, you don't necessarily think about how long you're going to be stuck there. And you sign a big deal with PSG, like they're going to keep you there and they're going to constantly try and re-up your contract. And you could just see your whole career kind of dwindle away there. Kind of happened with David De Gea at Man United. They just knew when to offer him new contracts. And now if he does get a move, he's going to be 29 like next summer. So I don't know. I think that Mbappe probably is going to still be at PSG.
Yeah, I agree. I think Neymar will be as well.
Yeah, really? Interesting. Let us know what you think in the comments below.
So that was Winners and Losers Transfer Edition for another week. Hope you enjoyed the show. Pat, what should they go do now?
You should head over to FDFC, soon to be renamed, so keep an eye out for that.
Exciting.
Where there is a new episode of Awkward FIFA with Joe Tomlinson being asked uncomfortable questions.
It's very much worth a watch. And go over to EFT and check out the 10 that should drop in about an hour or so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.